Hey everybody, welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Christy Brower, here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Katie Weaver. Hey Katie. Hey Katie, can you hear me?
I can now. You were cutting out a little bit there. Weird.
Oh my goodness. Well, hey, welcome to the show. Here we are.
Right? Tech is really really trying to
Yeah.
beat us down tonight. Hopefully we can prevail.
Yeah, first time around it deleted our YouTube post, so we couldn't go live on
Yeah.
YouTube. I don't know why. So anyway, here we are. Yay, it's Wednesday night case updates.
Hello.
Sorry for the drama. We did have
Yeah.
like a gigantic thunderstorm last night. Huge, flooded
Oh,
all of downtown here in Idaho Falls.
yep.
People's cars were floating away. Like it was bad.
Mhm.
And they're talking about that we might get another one tonight. So I don't know if we've got weird weather causing us issues, but you never know it.
Yeah, it sure makes you wonder, right? Very weird.
Oh, it was crazy. Like, we
Mhm.
literally got a text message from the city that said, stay alive by staying home. Anything west of Woodruff, which my house is west of Woodruff, do not leave
Mhm.
your house. I was like, holy crap. All right. Well, scary.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you all found us. So sorry about that and blame YouTube, I guess.
I
That's
hope
my
we don't
take.
have the storm tonight we're supposed to have. I
I
don't think
know.
we can handle it.
I don't want to have to do it again. It
Oh,
was insane. And the water, how much water came down so
oh my
quickly was
gosh.
wild. Yeah.
We were at Harbor Freight when it happened, when it really got raining hard.
Uh-huh.
And so we sat in the car forever waiting for it to slow down enough that Scott could just run in. And finally he's like, to hell with it, I'm doing it. Oh my gosh. Just watching him run through the parking lot getting pelted was, oh man, so bad. And then we got home and just couldn't come in the house. We
Oh
stayed in the
no.
car for like forever. And I kept thinking, I'm in here
Mhm.
pretty soon. It'll settle down. It was a good 30 minutes
Oh
before
wow.
we felt like we could even get out of the car.
Well, we have a drain at the end of our driveway and it gets clogged really easily and then it backs up
Hmm.
and then that backs up into our driveway and up toward our house and it's not good. So we had to send our son out to work on it last night, and he was out there forever. And when
Oh,
he came in, he was absolutely soaking wet. Never could get the drain to go down. I think that the drainage
oh no,
system was
just
overflowing.
overloaded. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, was he pissed?
a little. Rhonda finally yelled, "It's okay. You've done all you can do. Come in." Like
Poor
I just cannot
Mike.
get that to go down. I'm like, yeah, I think it's probably flooded under there too.
Oh my
We didn't
gosh.
get the hail. I know Blackfoot got the hail, Nicole, but we didn't really get that. But we got like
No.
major rain. Still this morning, when I was driving around working, there was standing water in big parking
Hmm.
lots and stuff where lots of drainage systems had backed up.
Yeah.
And of course, like under the underpasses going into downtown, there were cars stuck in them.
Hmm.
That happens every time we have a big rainstorm.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was wild.
it really was. It was a huge storm, and yeah, we're still under a watch for the next couple of hours. So
Hmm.
hopefully we won't get that.
Pretty crazy. I know they had hail. Yeah, you guys had it in Blackfoot. I saw a cousin posted pictures in Pocatello of hail that was bigger than quarters around.
Yikes.
It just raised hell with their poor yard and flowers and stuff. Yikes.
That yikes. Yeah. I know it's a bad time
Yeah.
of year because like my apple tree um uh was has been blooming beautifully and it
Mhm.
just beat the living crap out of it. We are on YouTube now. Yes, we had to switch streams because YouTube deleted our other stream. I don't know
Yeah.
what happened.
No, we don't know. It's crazy.
Oh, oh, you saw, oh, Amanda saw Nate's videos on it. Yeah. Yeah,
A
it was a
few of you
wild
reached out
day.
last night and said, "I just saw Nate's video. Are you guys okay?" Barely. I mean,
Yeah,
not really.
we
We're
we were
fine,
all
but
right. We
it
weren't
was
far enough
crazy.
downtown to flood, but I guess like the restoration companies are all just slammed because lots of people's
Oh,
basements flooded.
I can't even imagine.
Oh,
Well,
thank
we
you,
had come
God, that it
from
wasn't mine.
right. We had come from the nursery. I had my entire backseat of my car was full of flowers to plant in my front flower beds and my containers in my front yard, and yeah, we finally got them out this afternoon. But God, I'm so glad they weren't already planted. They would have. I can't even imagine what that rain would have done to
Oh, yeah.
peony or petunias and stuff. I have a
Beat the
big
crap out of
whiskey
them.
barrel full of violets that my daughter planted for me for Mother's Day.
Oh,
I love violets because our mom loved violets and
yeah.
beautiful violets, and like they're okay-ish, but were all like deep purple, and now they're purple with white polka dots. I
Oh,
don't
no.
know. I hope they recovered. Dang it! And yeah, luckily nothing else got planted yet, and I didn't dare plant it today. So tomorrow,
No. Give it a
yeah.
couple days. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, let's kick it off with the Vallow case and the update in the Vallow case because we always
Yeah.
start with it. Big news today. Here is
Mhm.
the court document about it, but guess who is getting sentenced on July 31st at 9 a.m. Mountain? Our top of our FOS list, Lori Vallow,
Yes.
triple murderer, Lori Vallow. We can finally
Lori
say
F.
it.
Vallow.
Yeah.
Yes. Convicted
Yes.
murderer Lori Vallow.
hmm Being
Yeah.
sentenced July 31st. We're going to be there. We're going to be there.
We have a daily double for you on that one because
hmm
they are live streaming it. We are fully
hmm
planning on being there in
Yeah.
person because, well, we just think we should be after all these
hmm
years. But
Full
we are
circle moment.
also, we are going to train Scott to run our, not that he'll need a lot of training, but to run our system so that we
hmm
will also live stream it. So you
Yeah.
can watch it here and also know that we are in the courtroom, and we'll come back later that day and do a live stream and tell you everything that we saw.
Yep.
So, yeah, we're
Yes, we
going to
will. So that's
we're going to
it's
hit them
not as
hard.
far out as they were saying it was going to be,
No.
which I think is good.
Mhm.
That's good news. So, just more closure for the Idaho cases, and then the door opens wide for the Arizona cases. So
Mhm.
it's good
Let's
news.
get this fool out of here. Yeah.
Let's do. Speaking of fools, would you like to tell us about the latest bison crime in Yellowstone National
Uh,
Park? I mean, what?
and this is a legit crime. They are looking for this person. So, a few days ago, some people watched a herd of bison trying to cross the river. A river, probably the Yellowstone, I'm assuming, or the Madison.
Or the
Anyway,
Madison?
or Gallatin, whatever. Anyway, trying to cross a river there in Yellowstone, and the rivers are very full and swollen right now. And this herd went to cross, and a baby kind of got left and was struggling. But the thing you have to know is that bison babies typically, if they don't keep up with the herd, and these little red dogs, sometimes they don't, they're really little, they'll struggle and they will just kind of float downstream till they hit a sandbar where they can get out. And the herd will just keep up along stream with them until they get out,
Mm-hmm.
or they will drown, which sucks, but it is also nature. And you
Right.
have to know and remember that Yellowstone National Park is just a national park. It is not a refuge, it's not a zoo.
Right.
We don't fiddle in the affairs of the animals as much as humanly possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these people were watching this happen and they're watching this little red dog struggling. And so this guy pulls him out of the river.
Mm,
This is a picture of it.
dumb ass.
First of all, he could have easily drowned himself. Look at that
Oh
river.
yeah, that river's super high.
Super, super freaking high. So he pulls him out. Then the baby is standing on the bank screaming and crying for its mom. The mom is on the other bank screaming and crying for her baby, running up and down the opposite bank. The baby's running up and down the opposite bank. These people are petting the baby reassuring the baby,
Mm,
touching the baby, and then the baby doesn't know what to do and starts like running up to people and running out into the road, and like it's causing a real problem. So some of the rangers come and they try to figure out how to reunite the baby with the mom. They tried for
mhm,
an hour to figure out how to get this poor
mm,
little thing across the river to mom. Pretty soon the herd gives up and leaves, and it's over. And they have to euthanize the baby.
yeah.
And people are outraged and want to know, why didn't they take the baby to a shelter? Why didn't, or to a refuge? Why didn't they? Because they don't live.
Mm-mm. They have to have their
Bison
mamas.
babies have to be with their mamas.
Yeah.
Trying to make them live is extremely hard to do. And because this is Yellowstone National Park and we let nature take its course, this baby would have died had he not, found a way across to mom. They had to euthanize him. And a lot of people are angry and don't understand that decision. And I can't promise you that I really understand it myself, except for that I do trust that they are doing what they can there and what they feel like is the right thing.
Right. The
But
rangers know,
mhm,
they know way better than some tourist does to be getting in the middle of something. You should not be
mhm,
touching the animals, period.
never. Also, 25% of bison babies die. 25%. And what do? Nothing. They leave them alone. Why? Because that feeds the bears and
Right. It's the whole
the co-
circle of life
and the
thing.
wolves and the coyotes and the
Yeah.
raptors, and that is what happens. So they euthanized the baby and left it for
Hmm.
wildlife, which is exactly what they would do. Um, but that's what happens. It's
Yeah.
so sad. It makes me so damn mad that that guy thought he knew better and decided to intervene when there are a million warnings at Yellowstone not to fiddle with the animals for any reason.
Yes.
And this, I get it. He thought he was doing the right thing. He saw a baby bison drowning. He thought he was saving it. But what he did caused it to die. And
Hmm.
it just sucks. So again, they're actually looking for this person because he will be ticketed if they ever find him.
Oh yeah, he'll get ticketed for sure. It's not a
Mhm.
huge fine, but you're not allowed to go touching animals and dragging baby bison out of the river and shit in Yellowstone.
No. And this, of course, is too reminiscent of a few years ago when a Canadian guy, saw a baby bison on his own and thought he looked cold and wrestled him into the back of his car and took him to a ranger station, was like, hey, here's this guy. And they, of course, were like, what the hell are you doing? And he's like, he was alone and he looked cold. So I was afraid he was going to die. So I brought him here. Well, of course he died then
Hmm.
because he was separated from his herd. Now
Well, they
they
had
said
no
with
way to
him,
know
no way to
where
know.
his mama was.
No, and they said that the fact that he was alone and already separated from the herd was likely meant that he wasn't going to live anyway, and that they
Hmm.
probably separated from him because he was
He
not
was
meant to
dying,
live. Yeah. So, but of course, they had to euthanize him too. My God, stop! Stop
right?
doing it!
I mean, there's already been somebody get charged at for a selfie this year. They haven't been gored yet, but that's coming.
Oh, yeah.
But living close to the
The
park
day is
like we
young.
do, and
Yeah.
I have to remind myself to say Yellowstone because we grew up calling it the park. That's how close we
Yes.
live to it. It's the
Uh huh.
park.
The park.
And I don't know. It just drives me crazy that people
Hmm.
can't just respect the park and respect the wildlife and just go and watch. And yeah, it's
Hmm.
sad if a little bison baby doesn't live, but that is
Hmm.
nature too. That's what
Yep.
happens.
Right. And again, it's
And
a part of the ecosystem there.
right.
I know it's awful.
It
It's not
is.
that hard. Don't touch the animals, don't feed the bears,
Ooh,
just don't.
just don't do it. Just leave them alone.
That's the other one that every year they have to keep saying a fed bear is a dead bear.
Oh,
Because if you feed the bears, they will immediately start coming into human territory and harassing humans for food, and then they will have to euthanize them.
yeah.
But they do it every
Yeah.
year. It happens
Every
every year.
year.
Yep.
It's really aggravating. You can tell. We are passionate about this.
We will kick the ass of somebody who fiddles with a red dog. God
Well,
damn it.
yeah. It's so true. But it's just because we love the park and we want it to stay the way that it is.
Yeah.
So, something else we should mark today. Today is the 1 year anniversary of the Uvalde, Texas school shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine it's already been a year?
Yep.
It, I was surprised that it's already
I
been a
was
year.
too. I was too. I didn't expect that.
The Today Show interviewed three of the mothers of children who were lost in the shooting. Gloria Cazares. Um, she lost her daughter and her niece.
Oh.
And she said that she's come to believe that guns are more important than children in the United States, which
Yeah.
unfortunately does feel very true. Kimberly Mata Rubio and Veronica Mata were also there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Another comment was guns are isolated. That's more important than our children. Our children. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she lost, and this is Gloria. Gloria lost her daughter Jackie and her niece Annabelle. They were both 10 in the shooting. Can you imagine?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
19 children and 2 teachers were killed in that shooting, and absolutely nothing has improved in that community or anywhere else.
Yep.
Um, Mata Rubio, they made a lot of pleas on the Today Show
Mm-hmm.
to raise the purchasing age for automatic rifles because, of
Yeah.
course, this gunman was 18, bought his guns legally.
Mm-hmm.
Just a lot of comments about how it's been a year and has anything improved? No.
No.
Have we changed any gun laws? Have we, other than we've dealt with, the immediate law enforcement problems that occurred that made this so much worse than it had to be?
Yeah.
Nothing else has changed. And, several hundred school shootings, several hundred mass shootings have
Yeah.
occurred since Uvalde.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I just thought we should mark that and acknowledge
But I will
that today is
never,
1 year since Uvalde.
I'll never, ever, ever in my lifetime understand how those children and those teachers were locked in those rooms with that man for 77 minutes with a
Except they
domestic
weren't
terrorist.
even locked in.
No,
The doors weren't locked.
just in.
Yeah.
Just in.
Yeah.
And that all of that law enforcement stood there and watched those and listened to those children being massacred and
Right.
just stood there. I will never in my lifetime understand it ever.
No.
Thank you,
Me either.
Desi.
Me either. I can't fathom that situation. I can't fathom not being an adult who would risk your life to save all those kids. The whole thing that went down is way that it went down is so sickening.
The cowardice is just, it's hard. I will never understand it. I just won't. I never will.
Right, Cranky. Nothing happened after Sandy Hook, and ever since then either.
No.
And the school shootings just continue to happen.
No.
Lots of love to the families affected by Uvalde, the parents of the children, the families of the 2 teachers who died.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else to say other than here we are another year later and still
Right.
no changes.
And we're still heartbroken. We're still flabbergasted. We're still shocked that this happened, that this could have happened.
Yeah.
It's another auspicious day for another reason.
Is it? Yes.
The Queen.
Tina
Turner died.
I know.
She
that
was,
tough.
I believe, 86.
Yeah, or 83, something like that.
Something like that. She was in her 80s. But I wanted to share this tweet that I think sums up what Tina Turner was for women.
Yeah.
Tina Turner was the first celebrity who talked about domestic violence. She saved a lot of women who were afraid to leave their abusers or ashamed of talking about it. She led a good life, and
She
she
sure
did.
did.
She was very outspoken about domestic violence and definitely gave women the courage to get out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, it is an interesting day.
Yeah.
Rhonda said they needed an army of moms at Uvalde. And you know what was so sad, Rhonda, is that army of moms was there, moms and dads, and the police would not let them anywhere near that building.
That one mom they handcuffed. because she was trying to
because
get
she
in
kept
there.
trying to run in.
They finally let her out of the handcuffs, and she still went in and got
Yeah.
her kids and a bunch of other kids out while
Yeah.
these fools are standing there
Just
letting this
standing there
happen.
waiting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes me sick.
Yeah.
Speaking of fools, Katie, would you like to tell us about what's going on in the Laundrie Petito lawsuit?
I'm sitting here, as you said, speaking of fools, I'm trying to think about which cases I have tonight and who that might apply to. But,
Right.
well, I mean, all of them. But yes, you guys, the letter is in.
I cannot wait to see what the letter says.
Well, do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
We have a portion of it
Let's hear
right
it.
here, right now. This is, I guess I should explain this better before I read the letter, but this is the letter that Brian Laundrie had on his person that was written by his mother. The envelope said burn after reading. And Gabby Petito's parents, of course, are suing the Laundries for their bullshit, and their attorney, Steve Bertolino, because it became very clear that they knew that Gabby was dead and knew essentially where she was.
Yeah.
All the while that they were searching and authorities were searching, and they were assisting their son in getting away and then killing himself. And they're suing them for that. I think we can mostly probably all agree that good. Hold them accountable. My God. So we had this letter, and they want it included as discovery in this case. And of course, the Laundries have fought tooth and nail to keep it out because it is damning as hell.
It is.
And they're saying she wrote this long before Gabby was ever missing, long before they even went on their trip. She wrote him this letter and sent it with him when they went on their trip. Like, it has nothing to do with this. And Petitos are like, you say so? Like, why would we take your word for it? You say so?
Why would anyone believe anything from these idiots?
There's no proof of when it was written. We can't even know that. So you say so? Yeah, I don't think so. So today they had a court date, and the judge said, nah, it's in.
Good.
So here is a portion of it. This is from, of course, Brian's mother to Brian Laundrie. I just want you to remember I will always love you, and I know you will always love me. You are my boy. Nothing can make me stop loving you. Nothing can or ever will divide us, no matter what we do, or where we go, or what we say. We will always love each other. If you are in jail, I will bake a cake and put a file in it if you are in jail. If you need to dispose of a body, I will show up with a shovel and garbage bags. If you fly to the moon, I will be watching the skies for your re-entry. If you say you hate my guts, I'll get new guts. Remember that love is a verb, not a noun. It's not a thing. It's not words. It is actions. Watch people's actions to know if they love you, not their words. Therefore, I am certain that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor the ruling spirits, nor things present, nor things to come, nor powers from above, nor powers from below, nothing in the entire created world can separate our love. Neither hostile powers, nor messengers, or heaven, nor monarchs, good Lord, monarchs of earth. Nothing has the power to separate us. Apparently that was Romans 8:38. Nothing can separate us. Hatred, not hunger, not homelessness, not threats, not backstabbing, not even sin, not the unthinkable, nor thinkable can get between us, she added. Not time, not miles and miles and miles. Wow, Roberta. Well, you are quite the author there, girlfriend. And also, your son's a murderer and you assisted him. So,
what
how
kind
does
of
this
love?
letter not damn her?
Right. It does. Also, what kind of mother's love is that?
That is creepy AF.
I'm going to bury a body for you. I'm going to lie for you. I'm not going to hold you accountable to be the good person that I know you can be. Like, what? Oh, it makes me sick.
If you hate my guts, I'll get new guts.
The fuck does that even mean?
This was the kid who would, this is an assumption. This is the kid who would throw a fit about what was for dinner, and mom would quickly make him something else.
Definitely. It definitely has that energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is wild. And I cannot understand loving your child to the point of assisting them in a murder. No, if you love your kid, you're going to turn them in because
Yeah.
they're never going to be okay
No.
if that's what's happening around them. Like, oh,
And at some point, can't you understand that your love for your kid doesn't get to supersede everyone else's loves for theirs?
right,
And that the Petitos deserve to know what happened to their daughter.
right,
They were just hoping she'd never be found.
right.
They were hoping the grizzly bears would get her before anybody else found her and that this would just go away. That was their
Right.
hope.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. So now the letter's in. So that's huge news. That's the thing that the Petito's family's attorneys have been fighting for the hardest. So
Hmm.
it's great news.
It
Great
is.
news.
It is very good, and I'm grateful to hear it, but it
Hmm.
makes me want to throw up to think that
Hmm.
she wrote him that letter.
Throw something. Yeah.
And you're telling me she wrote that letter before Gabby died?
Yeah.
Bullshit, she did.
Right.
No,
That's
that
hard
was
to
after.
imagine.
Yeah,
Hmm. Yep.
absolutely. Well, speaking of shit mothers or stepmothers, why don't you tell us about what's going on in the Stout case?
Yeah. So it looks like Leticia actually had taken out a life insurance policy on Gannon a couple of years before she murdered him
Mm,
for $25,000. And she took it out through USAA, USAA. And
that, yeah.
I can't hear that without singing that.
Mhm.
Uh, they didn't want her to have it. I know. Weird. So it's been being held in a trust of some sort while a judge decided what to do with it.
I'm
So it,
surprised it was going to get paid out at all.
yeah. Well,
That's strange.
I think it
Mhm.
was a valid policy that had been paid on appropriately. So it should
Mhm.
be paid to somebody. She even tried to change the beneficiary to her bio daughter the day or before, I believe, or the day that Gannon died. Like this has been a part of her bullshit the whole time. So
Jeez.
the court finally ruled today on that case that Gannon's bio parents are going to split it.
Well, good. It should go to people who have been victims in this situation.
Hmm. Yep.
Jesus, that woman.
Yep. So
Wow.
it's $25,000. So they will each get half of it. So that's
Well,
what's
I
going to
can't
happen.
imagine their lost work and everything that they have been through to get through this trial.
Hmm.
I'm sure they
Hopefully,
need it.
it's only $12,000, well, $12,500 for each of them, but still,
Mhm.
it's something. And hopefully, it helps make their lives a little bit easier at
I
any
hope
rate.
so. Yeah, I
Yeah.
hope so too.
Yeah.
Kat says that she heard that the laundry letter is based on a book that Brian and his mother both loved, but we don't
Yeah.
know
I
what
think
book it
I'd heard
was.
that before too.
Would be
Yeah.
interesting to know what book it is because that's fucked up.
Hmm.
That's what.
Yeah.
Speaking of fucked up, let's talk about. I know I have a million of them. Let's talk about what's going on in the Kohberger case because there's a lot going
Oh,
on in the Bryan
interesting
Kohberger situation.
stuff. How fucked is fucked up? That's
Yeah,
fucked up.
it is.
Yeah.
It's very fucked up. Well, one thing that's happening is that some of the parents are suing the city of Moscow. And they have filed paperwork. They are basically reserving their right to sue the city. So they're not doing it right now. I'm sure they have to wait until after the murder trial, but they're reserving their right that they are going to do that. So Kaylee Gonsalves's parents and Madison Mogen's parents intend to sue the city of Moscow. And they are considering seeking lawsuits that seek monetary damages.
Hmm.
They're not saying what the wrongdoing is yet, but there's been a lot of dissatisfaction on their parts that they weren't getting enough information from the police
Hmm.
and weren't being included enough in the investigation. So I'm going to assume that's what it is. I don't know what else
Maybe
they would really have any standing on.
I don't know. I mean, I would be a little pissed off about all of the tongue wagging they all did. There was
Yeah.
way too much, too many things being said, Now, honestly, the fact that they found him, that they found the killer, and that they did find the killer within what, 2 months, maybe a little bit
Yeah.
less, by the time they actually made the arrest. I don't know that they really have any grounds to sue the city of Moscow
I
or
don't
Moscow.
either.
I'm kind of surprised by that.
Well, and none of us like how little information we get from the police when a murder is being
Yeah.
investigated. But is that a reason to sue the city? No, it isn't, because they have to keep things quiet about what they're investigating. And the families still know way more than what the public do.
Hmm.
But I
And
don't
these
know.
families have done a lot of interviews. They've done a lot of talking.
They
I
have.
don't know. I mean, and I've never stood in their shoes, so I can't say, how I would feel or how I would react, and hopefully I never do. But I know, I'm not sure what I think of that. And frankly, even right now, like why make that announcement right now?
I
Why
know.
not focus all of the energy here into convicting Brian
Right?
instead of pulling that energy back to yourself again? I I don't know. I'm not a fan, but again, it's hard to judge if you haven't been in that position. You don't know how you'd react, but and
Agreed.
maybe
It's
there's more here
true.
than we know.
Right. And that's possible. But it does, I don't know, it does not hit me right, for
I
sure.
know, me too. And they're
Uh,
still saying that they are going to go ahead and tear that house down this summer.
I know. Yeah, that's another thing that I'm like, don't you want to wait till
Why?
after the murder trial just to be sure? I don't know why you'd risk that.
Not a
But
fan.
again, the kids' bodies have all been dealt with as well. That doesn't always happen either.
Well, I mean, my goodness. Tylee and JJ have still not been buried.
Yeah.
And it's sounding like they still aren't going to be buried
Until
until after
after.
Chad's trial.
Yeah.
And yet they immediately released the bodies of these kids. There's a lot I don't understand. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know. We'll see.
Yep.
Fran said that tomorrow is Xana Kernodle's birthday, one of the victims in Moscow, and that uh, people are asking that people do good deeds in honor of her. See, I like that a lot
Oh.
better than suing the city, who did, in fact, find the killer, and they're putting someone on trial.
And the city did something that not all cities do when they're in investigations like this, and they didn't have to do because none of these kids were minors.
Right,
We see all of these cases where the city gets way too up in their ego and they don't ask for or accept help from the FBI when they clearly need their resources.
right.
And they've worked really well with them. Like, yeah, I don't know what to say about that. Yeah.
I know. Me too. Me too.
Right. And Tylee and JJ are in Idaho too. Why is it so different with this case?
I don't know. But you have to understand that these two counties are a world away from each other
Oh
in
gosh.
distance.
Yeah.
Like, things are going to be completely different.
Yeah,
It's
totally. But yeah,
Idaho's kind of like two states.
or 3. Yeah.
Hmm. The way that we get separated by national parks and
Mhm.
various things means that things are handled very differently in different parts of the state.
Yeah. Yep. So Fran said she heard last night that that's on hold for now. That's so funny because I read today that it's not, but who knows?
Yeah,
Hopefully it is, Fran. Hopefully it is that they're not going to tear that house down right now. I know that locals are tired of looking at it, tired of hearing about it, and would like that house to be gone. But I think nobody wanted this to happen, you know?
right. No one did, but we also have to protect the trial, and that's really important.
Yeah.
Now, y'all probably know who Jennifer Kofendaffer is. She is a retired FBI agent. She's been working a lot on this case and talking a lot about the Moscow murders and about Bryan Kohberger. And she shared some side by side screenshots I'm going to share with you. These are from the University of Idaho Murders case discussion group where Papa Roger was posting. So they're his posts next to the questionnaire, the questionnaire thing that Kohberger did that he put out on Reddit, that was a study of criminal behavior,
Hmm.
because he's basically asking the same questions about the case as he did on that questionnaire. So here's
Hmm.
the first one. He posts a couple of things. Why did the killer choose that house over all the others in the area? And what do you think is the entrance point to the crime scene? And Here's a question from his questionnaire. Why did you choose that victim or target over another? Let's see. There's several of these. And there's another one. He asks, do you think the killer took anything from the house? How long do we think the killer was in the house? His questions before leaving. Is there anything else you did? And how did you leave the scene? And here's another one. Regardless of what has been released, I believe this is a sexually motivated crime. He was really big on that. Why did you choose that victim or target over others? And so there's, a lot, Dateline has said that they've have confirmation that Papa Roger was Kohberger. We don't know for sure because, of course, Dateline is not the police. Yeah. But just looking at those side by side, creepy. Super, super creepy.
Super creepy. One of the other, and it's not really a comparison to the DeSalle's survey, but one of the things in the Papa Rogers group that he did is he insisted adamantly that the sheath was left behind.
Yeah.
Long before he talked about that, they talked about that fixed blade knife and how big that knife must have been. And where's the sheath? Where's the sheath? Did he come back to the residence later to get the sheath? Well, yeah, he did. We know that now, that it looks like, at least from his pings, that he did come back a little later, that we don't think he went in the house. The sheath was, there. But he insisted in that group that there had to have been a knife sheath left behind, and indeed there was.
Yeah.
But he fucked up because he left his DNA on it.
Yeah.
Didn't know
he was getting a real charge out of saying stuff like that. And somebody really confronted him in the group over that particular thing. Yeah. And, this is creepy. And why are you asking this? And there's no evidence that that's ever happened. And why would you say that? And they had this big back and forth. And it is creepy because people were beginning to question then, is this the guy? Is this the guy who did this? And it's looking like pretty clear that it was.
Yep. Pretty wild. Yeah. Desi was wondering about the house, how it works for the owner. So the owner of the house is actually donating the house to the University of Idaho. They are paying to demolish the house and turn it into some kind of a memorial site. Is at least roughly, loosely what they're saying at this point. Yeah.
Interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff.
Yeah, it does, Walla. It does feel like he was giving an anonymous masterclass on murder or criminal behavior. It is very weird.
Right? Yeah. I'm just, it just makes me sick to think that people were interacting with him all that time, not knowing. Well, here's something else crazy that's going on. There's new movement in the Madeleine McCann case. So police officers are digging near a reservoir in Portugal. They've already looked at this reservoir in the past, but they still think that there may be evidence that links to her disappearance and to Christian Bruckner, remember, who is the German national who a lot of people think is, in fact, the guy who took her. And so they're out, for some reason, they are out digging around searching the reservoir banks and searching the reservoir and digging around that area again in relation to her case.
Yeah.
We don't have any tips or any public information about why they're doing that, but something has got them looking.
Well, we do know that he said at some point that this place was his own private heaven or something like that. That this reservoir is very meaningful to that guy, but that's about all we know. Yeah,
right. Because they've already searched it once for that reason. So it's pretty interesting that they're out there looking again. I don't know.
And I had read that they're looking for her pajamas.
Yeah, that they've got some kind of tip, it appears. Something. But we don't know what, and they're not revealing what.
Yeah. That's pretty wild. Really interesting. Will we ever finally see Madeleine McCann solved? It kind of feels like maybe.
I don't know, boy.
They are not letting up.
Somebody's always working on it, and it's changed hands several times, but somebody is always still working on that case.
Yeah. Here's a couple of pictures from
Yeah.
the reservoir where they're looking. God, I hope for her parents' sake they could find something.
God, they've got to be just completely out of hope. Wouldn't you
But
think
yeah,
that
I
they're
can't
like, just don't
imagine.
tell us until it's actually something? That's how I would feel
Hmm.
too. I would be like, yeah, I don't want to know until you actually literally have something that you can
No,
prove is connected. I don't want to know.
no, no, not after all this. And then just recently, of course, the girl in Poland that thought she was Madeleine McCann. And I mean,
Turns out
gosh, these
isn't.
poor people just cannot, they can't catch a break.
I know. I know. It just breaks my heart for them.
Hmm.
Like, just I would be like, do not speak to us unless you absolutely 100% know it's got to do with her, because we just don't want to know.
For sure.
It'd be too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you have a little good news for us. You have a DNA for the win.
I do. This is a breaking one. This just released in Canada like today. So, this is a 50-year-old cold case out of Quebec, and it was solved by DNA, of course. So, this is 16-year-old Sharon Pryor. And Sharon was abducted on March 29th, 1975, in the Point St. Charles area of Montreal. And her body was found 4 days later in a lot in, I don't know how to say this, Longue, Long, Longueuil. I'm going to say it that way, and someone can tell me that's completely wrong. Longueuil.
Hmm.
This is located in a Quebec province across from the St. Lawrence River from Montreal. So
Wow.
not far. I They have hung on to DNA in this case for 50 years.
Wow.
And so what they have done with this DNA is they did genetic genealogy to
Mm-hmm.
establish a DNA link between evidence recovered at the crime scene and an American family living in West Virginia.
Mm.
So they discovered that a member of that family, a man named Franklin Romine, was living in Montreal at the time of her murder. But they also
Wow.
learned that Franklin died in 1982.
Ah, damn it. That's the thing that's always so frustrating, is when the perp is dead.
But they went to West Virginia, where he's buried, exhumed his body, and matched the DNA.
Wow.
So, and her mother is still living. So they were
Oh,
able to give
wow.
her mother that closure at least.
Sure.
And now they at least know who killed her. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's good news, and it's definitely the way that technology is moving forward in DNA is so
Hmm.
incredible,
Hmm.
and there are so many good things being done with it.
Yes.
The
Yep.
genealogical DNA searches, or even just like this, where they go literally exhume a body and prove it,
Hmm.
so that they can move forward, and then that DNA is in the system. So maybe he did, maybe he killed someone else, and it will
Right.
show up there too. It is
Mhm.
amazing what's
It
happening.
is.
That these cold cases, a lot of people, I
Yeah.
think, at some point will think that they are safe
Hmm.
after a certain number of years, but the reality is you're never safe if you've done a crime like that. Not
For
now.
sure. Okay, well, Jenny, let me give you a little hope here and an idea. She said there's a cold case here in Portland, the Oak Grove Jane Doe. I wish there was some way to find her identity. Okay,
Well, there
so
is.
there is. And just recently in Arizona, there was a case where they had a body that had been found decades before that they'd never been
Mhm.
able to identify. And the police put out a plea on Facebook and a link, a GoFundMe type. I don't think it was GoFundMe, but something like that. And they
Mhm.
said, we can pledge $1,000, but we need 5,000 more in order to pay for the work to be done.
Mhm.
Within 5 days, that community had put together 5,000 more dollars, and they did learn the identity of that woman, and they were able to return her remains to her family. It
Wow.
can be done. The police lost her body and all of her clothes, etc. Oh, well, damn it.
Damn.
Yes. But we're hearing about this quite a bit of crowdfunding. Now it
Mhm.
sucks. It sucks that it has come to that the public is being asked to
Right.
pay for these things, except for that, you know what? Maybe it's worth it. In
Yeah.
Virginia, there is one very wealthy donor who's from Virginia who's been paying for all of them. And every time they come to her and ask for another 6K so they can go back to Othram Labs and do another DNA, she shells it out. They're
Yeah,
solving all of their cold cases in Virginia. It's amazing.
that is amazing.
Yeah.
And you know what, Dizzy? They are doing more with rape backlogs. We've done some stories on that recently.
Uh-huh. And you're absolutely
Same
correct.
thing.
Yeah.
That yes, we need more of the rape kit backlogs done as well to get those perpetrators off the street. And there are some sheriff's offices that have pledged to get their backlog caught up and get all of that information into their database.
Yeah.
And so we are seeing that, not as across the board as I would like it to be, but we are. Idaho has actually worked on it quite a lot.
Right. We were talking shit and somebody was like, I thought they were working on them. So we had to go look it up and discover,
It
oh,
was
they
true.
are.
Because Idaho
Yeah.
had a horrible backlog for a long time, but yeah, it's getting caught up. Yeah, and then that DNA is in the system. So if that person is still active as a perpetrator, they're going to catch them because they have their DNA now.
I read about another cold case today that it was a man that was shot. There was a partially eaten sweet potato left at the scene. Not kidding. They got DNA off of the sweet potato and used that to find the perp. What?
That's
Just walking around
amazing.
munching on a sweet potato?
I mean, whatever.
Sweet potato that took him down.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Well, little did we know that we're leaving our DNA literally everywhere we go. Just by touching things, we're leaving our DNA behind.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's true, Jenny. So they have a pic online of her face, how they found her after she had been in the water. And maybe somebody could do a computer reconstruction. Maybe so.
Yeah.
But yeah, sweet
The sweet
potato. That's
potato.
awesome.
That killed me. It wasn't. I was looking for cold cases and reading several of them, and that one, it wasn't, particularly noteworthy otherwise. But the sweet potato.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, do you have anything else? Did I skip anything?
I think that's it.
You think
I
it
went
is?
looking today for anything on Michael Vaughn,
Yeah.
but there's just nothing.
No. Still nothing.
I went looking for Nick Oliverdian like I do every Wednesday to see if there's anything new. There's nothing new there either.
Yeah. Well, we'll just keep watching because there will be eventually.
Anything on Stephen Smith? Oh my goodness. I think oh yeah, we've been in person with Lori Vallow.
Oh yeah.
We've been close enough to Lori to touch her. We've been so close to her that we were desperately trying not to make eye contact.
Because she turned around and looked right.
Anything new on Stephen Smith, or if there is, I don't know, Christy. That's a great question, though.
Oh, that's the other one. Yes, Fran, thank you. Bryan Kohberger's parents.
Oh yeah.
There was a grand jury convened in Pennsylvania for a murder that authorities thought maybe Bryan Kohberger was involved in, and his parents actually testified at it. It sounds like he has a pretty good alibi for the time, and he's probably not going to be indicted, but definitely Pennsylvania is doing their work to make sure that they don't have any unsolved cases laying around that in fact were Bryan Kohberger. Thank you, Fran. That was the one piece I forgot.
Isn't that wild? Yeah.
But yes, Pam, we have definitely seen Lori in person.
And here's what I'll tell you about Lori. There is no shame in her game. When she walks in and out of court, her head's held high. She is looking,
flipping that hair,
flipping her hair, smiling, laughing, just acting as comfortable as you can imagine. Like there's no glimmer in her of why she's there. I mean, surely she knows, but I mean, there's no shame. There's no avoiding eye contact with people. None of it. She's looking around the room. She's looking you right in the eye. It is very weird. That one day we had sat far on the outside. It was the day of the fated cell phone event. And
oh yeah.
the Fremont County Courthouse, and we were clear on the edge and of the aisle. So when she walked in and out, she was walking like really, literally right past us. And
Mhm.
they didn't like for the longest time. She wasn't even shackled or handcuffed. She'd just
No.
wander in and wander back out, and like the
Mhm.
security was very low. And she walked right past us and looked me right in the eye, and I was like, "Oh God, don't look, don't look, don't look."
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't want to look, but I did not want to look.
Mm-mm.
Just
I don't like to look evil square in the face.
this is true. This is true. Yeah. So it is a weird experience. I will tell you that. It is a very weird experience to be in proximity of her, just
Mhm.
knowing what she has done. Yeah.
Yeah, it is very strange.
Yeah.
I have not seen anything recent on Dylan Rounds, Fran. Thank you
Mm-mm. No.
for mentioning that. We will keep covering that. Yes, the juror interviews in the Vallow case are really, really interesting. It's nice
Mm-hmm.
to see that they all saw her for who she is.
Yes.
They all
Yep.
saw her as a psychopath, which is good.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, Alec Murdaugh, there is
oh,
something.
there is. I forgot. Let's see. I had it pulled up earlier today. Let me see if I can find it. There is something new in Alec
I've got
Murdaugh.
it.
It's more charges.
Yes, more charges. And they've named an accomplice. So these are some of
That's
his
right.
financial crimes,
Mm-hmm.
because this dude is, I think his body is going to be buried under the prison because he'll never get out.
My gosh.
Uh, so he's been indicted on a bunch of financial crimes, but he's got an accomplice. Where did that go?
I
Corey Fleming is the name
okay.
of the accomplice. So there's a 28-page indictment that charged him
Mm-hmm.
with 22 counts of financial crimes, including money laundering, conspiracy, bank fraud, and wire fraud. And this Corey Fleming is now named as an accomplice in those crimes.
In those crimes.
Yeah.
Boy, he sucked a lot of people into his bullshit, didn't he?
Oh my gosh, yeah. He definitely did.
And unfortunately, a lot of them were unscrupulous enough to go along with the stuff he was doing. Some
Right.
of them, I think, were just stupid, or not quite understanding. They were probably only a party to part of the grift, so maybe they didn't really quite understand the full scope of what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
But he did a good job of pulling people in to help him out with his stuff.
Right.
Oh, Corey Fleming was his college roommate. Oh, interesting. That doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
And he has agreed to plead guilty to
Mhm.
conspiracy to commit wire fraud in the case. So he's working
Mhm.
with the court.
Mhm.
This was specifically in the Gloria Satterfield death
Ah, okay.
and in that fraud of her kids.
Mhm.
That's so gross. What is wrong with people?
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, but obviously, Alec Murdaugh saga is just never going to end.
Yeah.
Ever.
No. And Desi, I don't think that Lori went from a great mom to a psychopath. I think she's been a psychopath all along. There's a lot of people said she was a great mom who did not live with her.
Mm-hmm.
But when you actually look back at all of her history and all of the stuff that happened with her several husbands and the stuff that went on with Tylee being in a hospital and having a guardian ad litem, and at one point they actually had video cameras in the house watching Lori and the way that she was parenting Tylee.
Mm-hmm.
It just
all of
she
the
wasn't a
custody
good
stuff.
mom. She was never
Yeah.
a good mom.
Yeah.
I know they all want us to believe that now, but she
Yeah.
was never a good mom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's hard because it's hard with the Woodcocks because
Mhm.
the Woodcocks did believe she was a good mom,
Right.
and they'll scream that from the rooftop. So we would have never wanted her to adopt JJ had we we thought she was a good mom, of course, yes.
Right. Right.
But gosh, you look through all of those other court documents. That document that was leaked by the guardian ad litem for
Yeah.
Tylee.
Oh, it's bad.
No. Yep.
Right. And is Colby looking back too fondly because it's hard to face reality? Yeah, of course he is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
In reality, she also, was frequently asking him for money when he was a young adult.
Yeah.
Because she was running out of money and
Mm-hmm.
no.
She was a financial disaster.
Yeah.
She was just a consumer, There
Mm-hmm.
was never enough for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very true.
Yep. Yeah, Lori did mess up Colby. Yeah.
Yeah. She did. He wouldn't necessarily know that she wasn't a good mom, unfortunately.
I'm afraid that's true. She put him through a lot. Can you imagine what she put Tylee through?
No, I
I mean, we
can't.
know what she put Tylee through. I mean, there's real questions about whether she was actually like a Munchausen's mom
Yeah,
or
there were
whether
questions
Tylee.
then because they all
Mhm.
talked about Tylee was sickly and had pancreatitis and all that stuff. Well, if you go back and look at some of those records from the time that Tylee was in a hospital, there were real questions about whether Tylee was sick or this problem was all 100% her mother.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah.
Well, and it was a part of her manipulation to keep Joe Ryan, because at first the whole story was that Joe Ryan had molested Tylee and molested Colby, but
Right.
the courts never found anything to prove that. Colby still as an adult will say that's true, and I don't want to, discount Colby's experience at all,
Right.
except for that Joe was never tried.
Mm-mm.
Joe was never charged with anything, and the courts never agreed that that happened. In fact, they disagreed that that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So then, after crying sex abuse didn't work, which, if she lied about that, and I'm assuming she did, that's horrific.
It is.
Lying about sex crimes is the lowest thing you can possibly do. It's awful. Well, no, actually, she had a deeper bottom than that. It just came later.
Yeah.
But, but that's a horrific thing to do. But when that didn't work, then they started him with the, Tylee with pancreatitis and Tylee in the hospital. And when she'd come home from dad's, then suddenly she'd be really sick and back in the hospital because he just couldn't manage her. He
Yeah.
just wouldn't feed her the right things. He just couldn't take care of her health.
Yeah.
That was part of her manipulation to keep Joe from being able to see Tylee.
Yeah.
And to mess with the custody stuff. Oh God, it's all so gross. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All of it is gross. And, who knows what the kids remembered versus what Lori told them.
Well, sure.
You can't trust that she didn't try to implant some stuff.
Oh, she was wildly manipulative and damn good at it in a lot of ways. And so, yeah, of course.
Oh, definitely, Gazem. I agree that
Mhm.
that Lori coached Tylee for her police interview after Charles was killed.
Oh, yeah.
100%. 100%. She
That's why
was
they had to get out of there.
manipulated from day one. Yeah.
Yeah. They took JJ to school. They went and got food. They had to go to Walgreens and get shoes because they left without him. And then
Mhm.
what? She was telling Tylee what to say. She was
Yep. This is what
absolutely
happened. This
coaching
is
her
what you're
on what
going to
to
say.
say.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Most
But see, the
definitely.
other way she manipulated Tylee is that she kept Tylee really dysregulated in their home.
Yeah.
With constant stories that Charles was mad at her.
Yep.
She would constantly tell Tylee that Charles was mad at her. Hey, Lana, sorry. And that she needed to get her out of there because she just didn't know what Charles was going to do. He was so angry. So they'd go
Yeah.
spend a night at a hotel somewhere and go have a girls' night because Charles was just so mad at her. And those things weren't true. She was just
No.
telling Tylee those things. She was trying really hard to make Tylee hate Charles.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's no evidence that Charles had any animosity toward Tylee at all.
No.
It was all created.
Well, Charles was paying for everything.
Right.
For all of Lori's kids, as well as many members of Lori's families, paying for all of their cell phones and stuff like that, and bailing them out when
Mhm.
they had a financial crisis and stuff. Charles was the guy with the debit card, he was the guy that was paying
Absolutely.
for stuff all the time. Yeah.
Right. Tylee would have lied. Yeah, Lori would have said JJ would be taken away. Absolutely, she would have
Mhm.
lied. She had no point of reference in life but her mother. Her mother kept her
Mhm.
so isolated that she didn't know what was true from anyone but Lori.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh. Yikes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's everything we have for tonight.
Yeah.
If you are a patron or if you would like to become one, go check us out over on patreon.com. We're True Crime Squad there. We're about to put up 2 new episodes there. There are 2 episodes a month that are extra that we put up over there.
Mhm.
Check us out. It's a great way to support us and get more content.
Yep.
So don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, do all the things. We appreciate you so much. And you know it. We are the True Crime Squad. Thanks for being here.
Take care.